Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another walk and talk. An interesting evening today. It's a little bit calm. Back out onto the field for a bit of a walk and a bit of a stroll, some exercise and all that kind of good stuff, as we have been doing for about a week or so now. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss, what's been going on with the price action with crypto at the moment. We see some interesting kind of price movements, and we've seen Bitcoin, actually at the point of recording this video, actually moving on up a little ways as well. I think we're heading back to the 35k at the point of recording, which is pretty cool to kind of see, the moves to the upside for BTC. But I kind of want to put out a video today just to kind of talk about the potential risks of this continued move to the upside, right? It's not necessarily sustainable. As I tried to avoid all these puddles down here on the field today. It's quite muddy here. So what I want to talk about is how we've seen the price action of Bitcoin moving up quite a bit. We're pushing up a little bit further. We do have the potential to continue this push just a bit more. So I was talking this morning on the Bitcoin video, when I was taking a look at the charts and the technical analysis, we can see a potential push up towards 37k. And if we do get an extension, we might be able to border the $40,000 level, okay, which is super interesting. There's a lot of resistance though around 38k, so we do want to be a little bit cautious with going long at this point, in my humble opinion. We've been tracking a 5-wave move, so this is the final 5th wave to the upside for Bitcoin, and so that kind of brings us on to the subject matter of today's video, which is essentially that we see the requirement now for Bitcoin to potentially start a bit of a reversal. Okay, it might not happen today, might not happen tomorrow, might not even be over the weekend, but we do see the formation of a complete structure. And this essentially means that we want to be aware that there's going to be a reversal coming for BTC. This reversal could be pretty catastrophic because we do find ourselves in some pretty dangerous areas on the stochastic RSI and the regular relative strength index. These movements to the upside have been pretty sharp, they've been very impulsive, but they're not really backed by large volume. We can see this when we take a look at the volume profiles and how price action really has pushed up without any real significant volume behind the price. So the move to the downside has some pretty interesting kind of levels. We can see some interesting support levels around 30k. This will be no surprise to many. But if we do start losing these and start slipping down, $25,000 is an interesting zone and area, as this is the 200 daily EMA, I believe, or weekly EMA, in fact. And I think for the most part, that's going to be a good, strong bouncing point for us as well. But we cannot ignore the CME gaps either. Obviously, this move to the upside has taken out the $34,000 to $35,000 CME, but it do remain 2 more CMEs or CME gaps on the charts. We do have the $20,000 to $21,000 level, which I think is the next kind of major one that we should be kind of thinking about. And of course, the super bearish 9,700 CME gap. Now, obviously, you might be bearish, you might be bullish in the market. I don't think really it generally matters whether you're bullish or bearish. Ultimately, at the moment, we can see the data is indicating that there's a likelihood for further downside, specifically as profits start to get taken in this higher range that Bitcoin's finding itself in at the moment. This move to the upside has been fueled as well by large liquidations for BTC. So we have to be aware that there's a good understanding and logical explanation to the moves to the upside. I was talking about this in terms of like short squeezes and things like that most recently. So I kind of wanted to put a video together to kind of say, let's be a little bit cautious, right? Let's not kind of think we go straight to new all-time highs or anything like that. And we should kind of be thinking that there is going to be a move to the downside. It's a nice, healthy, natural correction I think is due. And I think $20,000 is a nice range for us to move down to. I've also been talking recently about how we are expecting a move to the downside. And if we are to see a new bullish market and the bottom being in for Bitcoin, then everything that we've seen in 2023 so far is just an indication of the initial rally. And usually when this rally comes to an end, we see a 50% reduction in the price action. Okay, you take a look at 2019, from the previous bear market low of 2018 upwards towards June of 2019, we do see a significant surge in price and then an immediate downturn of 50%. Okay, now if we were to have a 40% reduction now for Bitcoin, that puts us right down on that $20,000 CME gap. So we want to be aware that there's still a lot of potential for moves to the downside, and we aren't out of the danger zone just yet. Now, we might be thinking, what on earth would cause such a downturn in price for a 50% reduction, right? Or a 40% reduction? And well, there's many different reasons for this and rationale. One, profit being taken is one. We can see that, as a requirement within the space. But we can also see some global reasons as well, right? The economy is not in a great way. It's not in a great shape. And we could see, a Fed pivot in the coming months. And historically speaking, we do see a lot of downturn when the Fed actually do have a pivot, which in my opinion is an inevitability. Interest rates and obviously inflation, the way that it's been going, has been obviously causing a lot of pain and a lot of shrinkage of liquidity within the space. And I think when the Fed pivot, all of that comes to a bit of a head, where everything is at its worst, and you will start to see assets being sold off. But the pivot itself is actually quite a bullish signal. We just expect a bit of a downturn when it actually happens. So I guess this video is, just a bit of a warning, just to kind of say that although it is great that Bitcoin's been moving up, probably a good idea to kind of be locking in profits if we can. That's not obviously to say it's financial advice, just my thoughts and opinions, that we see these things time and time again and people forget to lock in those profits. We might push up a little bit more, as I said. 40k is an interesting range. Lots of resistance at 38k though. And, I think a bull run is coming. I just think we're a tad too soon to see that great price appreciation that everyone is calling for. So, all in all, I think it's going to be an interesting kind of few weeks ahead and few months ahead, and an interesting kind of day out here in the middle of nowhere. But I think that's going to wrap up today's video. Just want to kind of put out my thoughts and opinions on kind of what's going on in price, and obviously to kind of be a little bit aware and a little bit cautious when it comes to what potentially happens next. If you have found this useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. And if you haven't joined us in Discord, we're missing a trick. Check it out. Link is down in the description below. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.